Hey guys, welcome to Dad Vibes, where we do all things dad. Alright, as you guys probably are aware of the title of the video, we are doing the coupling on the camper trailer, which is the Lovells All Ace all-terrain off-road hitch. So today's vid, we're going to talk about why I'm replacing the hitch, why I decided to go with the Lovells hitch, what different hitches there are too. There is a fairly common one, I think it's the DO35, and there is another one that's similar to the hitch that I got, the Lovells one, but it's a lot more expensive. We'll have more of a discussion on that as well. Also, we'll talk about the camper trailer and how that's been, what model it is, how it sets up, all that sort of stuff. We are going down the coast in a week or two's time. Me and the young fella go do some fishing, golfing, while the missus and the daughter are away on their cruise. Also doing some wheel bearings on it. We'll explain wheel bearings and just the basics and how you service them on that side. If you guys probably don't know, which I highly doubt because I don't talk about it much, I am a mechanic by trade. So really, out of anything that I do, if it's anything mechanical, I generally know what I'm talking about. So you compare that to the lawn where it's just a hobby. I'm not a professional at it, but you give it a crack. Whereas mechanical side of things, I know more about that than most other things. Anyway, yeah, so let's start off with the coupling, I suppose, and go from there. Okay, the hitch. Why am I looking at replacing my hitch? I have the poly block at the moment. Now, we've done around about 10,000 k's in the camper trailer. Had it for about 4 years. A lot of trips down the south coast and up to Port Macquarie back. It's about a 7 or 8 hour drive up to Port from Canberra to back. From Canberra to Port to back. Our last trip we did was the Great Ocean Road down to down past Melbourne through Geelong, started at Anglesey, went all the way through the towns there into Adelaide, stayed at Adelaide for a week, come back through the middle, through Mildura, back home. Now it was probably about 3,500 k's of travelling, and while on that trip we probably got out to Mildura and I started noticing something very odd with the coupling or the hitch. Now I think the camera will pick it up, but I've got a screwdriver here just to put it in there, see if it flexes a bit more. But we'll have a look and see if you guys can see what's happening with the hitch, the polyblock hitch. See these cracks? All the way through there, up through here. Now, as you can imagine, that's not good. I knew these things weren't that great, but I never expected them to crack, ever. So when I was on the trip, I wasn't feeling too good about the drive home because can that fall apart and break off? I know it's got the chains there, but still, it's not really good when you're in the middle of nowhere trying to get home. Anyway, that's the main reason I'm replacing the hitch. Now, the hitches that I ended up going for, I looked at the Mick hitch. It looks pretty good, the way it worked. But on further research, I found that there were some complaints about if the vehicle's on an incline compared to the camper, and you try and remove it, or you try and fit it, you try and fit the camper onto the vehicle, it doesn't line up. The connection won't line up and it doesn't lock correctly. So from a review from that, steered clear of that. Now, a lot of people have got the Cruisemaster DO35s. Essentially, I'll probably put a picture up of what they are. It's just a pin it goes down onto. I'll put you down and I can show you with 2 hands. Essentially, the Cruisemaster DO35 is a pin on the vehicle, and then you have your hitch that comes over, goes down, and then the slide at the top comes in, locks it in. That's it. A lot of people I know have those DO35s. no complaints. They're all happy with them. For me though, there's another hitch out there which was called an easy hitch. Looking at YouTube and whatnot, I found it through there, and it looked like a pretty good system. But the biggest problem was asking price for one of them, and it's $1,290. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? That's excessively expensive for a hitch. Considering when you can get a DO35 for $430, $450, why would you spend $1,290? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, considering it's just a hitch that tows onto your vehicle. I ended up finding the Lovells all-terrain off-road hitch, Haul Ace I think it's called. Yeah, Haul Ace Lovells all-terrain hitches and towing system. Anyway, now as far as I can see, very similar to the Easy Hitch or Hitch Easy. The way it works and whatnot. Also, price is not $1,290. It's $429. There's a local place here in Canberra I could go to. They had it in stock, so I got it off them. Lovells is an Australian company, Australian made, Australian built, good quality. Speaking to the guys at where I got the hitch from, I don't have any problems with them, but in saying that, they said they didn't have any problems with the McHitch Easy either. So anyway, I will have a look at the hitch and show you guys how it works, and then we'll fit it up to the camper. Alright, so we've got the coupling or the hitch. I'm not exactly sure what that is. This is for this. Open and close that. That's just a cover for when you're not in use, I'd say. This is for. That might be a lock. Can't get that out. You turn on this, opens these two up. There's grease in there and whatnot, and then that goes into there. This goes into this here, and then you can lock that in. Like that. Right. Well, I suggest we should just go ahead and fit it. There you go, is that easy? Anyway, we'll get the new one on there. I won't put this back on because it doesn't sit flush on the new hitch, so it'll just bend. I want that to be nice and secure, so just won't use it. Right, so you got 4 bolts, lock nuts, nylon lock nuts, 2 washers, washer each side, put them in. So the first thing we'll do is check to make sure they fit. If I just knocked him in with a hammer, it'd go straight through, but I don't want to stuff the threads on it, so I'll get my file them down a little bit. And keep in mind, 2 different lengths, front and rear. Yep, and yep. That's what we want. Now we can put her on. We're all there. That one's in. So the battery on this thing's, I mean this thing's probably 10-year-old, so it seems a bit weak at the moment, so I haven't done them up fully tight. I'll go get a torque wrench and torque them up. Okay, they're all torqued up, it's all fitted, pretty basic. I will recheck these after I've gone for the first drive, just to make sure they are tight. Better be safe than sorry. Because when I was taking the old coupling off, old hitch off, one of the bolts was loose. So keep that in mind. Alright, got that stuff in. The jack stand down there. Jack stand. Alright, so we're ready to do bearings. The hitch is on. Looks pretty good. Pretty happy with how it's looking. Wait until I actually go to use it. So next week or whatever week it is. Once I've used it, I can tell you what I think of it, but at the moment I've just attached it. Now on to the bearings. I've just jacked it up with a jack stand under there. Always use jack stands. Never trust hydraulic shit, because it can fall down and it'll do some damage. Always be safe. Anything that you're going to do under a car, always jack stands. Safety is priority. Anyway, I'm just going to do a side at a time. I'll show you this side, and then I'll just do the other side myself without recording, because it's a bit of a piss fart around. Anyway, so what we're actually doing is repacking the wheel bearings, something that you need to do on your caravans or camper trailers every 10,000 k's. I've had the camper for 4 years. I would imagine that someone in my position, which would be most people with families and kids, my kids are older these days, but still younger kids, time-wise of using a caravan or a camper, it's not going to be every weekend. You're not going to use it where you do thousands and thousands of kilometres every 6 months, like a car does 10,000 kilometres every 6 months. You're not going to get that out of a camper or a caravan. So 10,000 k's in about 4 years, it's standard, I suppose. But every 10,000 k's, repack wheel bearings, or remove, check, replace, repack, whatever you're going to do. Now, in saying that, 10,000 k's for repacking of wheel bearings to me seems excessive, but it's what they recommend. You look at cruisers, the old 80 series and whatnot, they were getting repacked bearings every 80,000 k's, and then they started reducing down to 60,000 and whatnot, the newer they got. You think about a Hilux, I know they're all internal and they're not something that you pull apart and repack and put back together. But you won't do any replacement of those hubs for 200,000 k's. So anyway, we'll just do what the manufacturer wants. We'll pull it apart and I'll show you how to do it. Bearings is messy, so gloves every time. It's in a first year apprentice's job. Hate it. I have checked these wheels or the hub for play before I'm removing them. There is no play at all. Usually when you're doing a safety inspection or any sort of vehicle inspections, you always check for hub play, playing the steering or anything like that, and just by shaking the wheels. This hasn't got any, so yeah, that's another thing where I'm sort of like, why are we doing wheel bearings? Pulling them apart, checking them, putting them back together, repacking. There's no play in there, So anyway, let's get it off. Look how clean that is. These just look pretty standard like a normal trailer. Slip in through a locking nut, undo the locking nut, and it should come off. So that's your brake system. Got your brake shoes, the electronic part that spreads your brakes on through your controller. I'm not exactly sure how that works, to be honest. Usually in a vehicle you've got your wheel cylinder, which has your hydraulic fluid in there, so when you put your foot on the brake, pushes the fluid into the cylinder, pushes it out, applies those two drums, or two shoes, sorry. But this setup is electronic, so when you apply your electronic brakes, or you apply your override for your electric brakes, I think it's magnets or something like that. Nice push it. General rule of thumb with these shoes, you don't want it any lower than the backing plate. Same with brake pads. If that padding is lower than your backing plate, then you need to get them replaced. So if this shoe here is lower than that back there, you need replacing. But as you can see, it's got plenty on there. So this bearing. Honestly, that's not even dirty. You know what, guys? That doesn't need repacking. And what I was saying earlier, 10,000k seems a bit excessive to do wheel bearings. Alright, I reckon I'm not going to do these wheel bearings. They're clean as, they don't need it. I'm putting them back together. I've checked them, inspected them. Everything looks good. Back together it goes. I'll give you one piece of advice putting wheel bearings back together. You tighten them and loosen them a couple of times just to make sure that the bearing's settled. Like so. So you go pretty tight. Take it back. You usually say half turn, but I'm not doing half turn on that. It's basically back to where it was. So I'm happy with that. Chuck that split pin in because it's good. You really should put new ones in, but there's nothing wrong with this one. I don't have any spare ones anyway. Clean her up. Put the wheel back on. Before we put the cap on, lower it down, or torque the wheels and put the cap back on again. That's it. Oh, and this is what we do with this piece of fucking shit. Fucking useless crap. What the hell? What a piece of fucking junk. Who did something like that so it can only last that long? So stupid. Okay, so hitch is done. I checked the wheel bearings, one side anyway. As you've seen, they're blue, nice in colour. If they were any good, bloody wind's coming along, so you might not be able to hear me as well as you should. Took one side off the wheel bearings, they look good. If that grease was black, it had play in the hubs, I'd be definitely doing it, but 10,000 Ks and there's nothing wrong with it, so I'm not even bother. There's no point in doing something that doesn't need doing. You can overdo it if you like, but in my mind it's no point. Anyway, the next video that's going to come out is actually next video. The one that would have been about my irrigation easy flow. So in a week's time, we'll hook the trailer up to the Hilux and we'll make our way down the coast. So I'll probably see you on the day of hookup. So see you in 3, 2, 1. Let's try out this new hitch. Taking all the covers off. Just gonna lift that up, reverse the trailer up. See how we go. And there's no sound, as you can probably tell. So I'm going to do a voiceover. And as you can see, I'm lining the hitch up with the toe ball of the Hilux. Getting it lined up by releasing the handbrakes just so it's nice and straight. And as I bring it down, I unfortunately forget that there's a collar there that I need to turn. So you'll see me in a second, pull it back up, have a look at it, see how it actually works. Turn that collar like I'm doing now. Release it back down and she clicks in right there. Now we go back to the collar, eventually. And figuring out how it works. Grab the camera, show you guys how that collar works. Pull it out, all it does is just turn on that toe ball. Turns back in. Then you've got the clip that's in my hand there that I place in and she'll all be locked in. That's how she works. Anyway, that's the Lovells Haul Ace hitch fitted. That's it. No worries guys. Thanks for watching. Dead Vibes. Catch you next time. Love you later.